Hello YouTube, it's your host Axel Rose and you are now watching MVP Magazine. The Nintendo Switch has been out for just a little over a week. I know I'm late with my review, but I needed some time to recover from accidentally being turned into gaming James Brown.
What do you do when you have two Nintendo Switch? What do you do? Chicka bum bum bum. When you
Yes. The Switch is Nintendo's latest home console, and so far it's been marketed as a hybrid device, a home console that you can take on a go portably. Now, this concept sounds like a novel breakthrough idea, especially if you consider Nintendo's background of success in both the handheld and home console market. But have Nintendo honestly learned the lessons that they needed to from the failure of the Wii U in order to make the Nintendo Switch a success? As far as aesthetics, Nintendo are definitely on the right track. Gone are the kiddie-friendly, Fisher-Price stylings of the Wii U, replaced with some slick Apple-style goodness. Now, being that all the main hardware is in the actual screen, this kind of reduces the dock to being a glorified USB port. The kind of USB port that might accidentally flip out and turn into Wolverine and scratch the front of your Nintendo Switch to death. Now, early reports of the dock suggested that it might house some kind of CPU or just extra graphics memory for the Switch, and nope, no mas, that is not the case. Now, this is a little disappointing, but it doesn't stop it from just at least looking cool. But some extra processing power would definitely have been appreciated, especially with developers ramping up what they're going to be doing in games for the future. Now, when it comes to their home consoles, you can definitely count on Nintendo to innovate when it comes to the controller, and the JoyCons are no different. I mean, the innovation of having control wrestled from you whilst gameplay is something that only Nintendo could provide. But all jokes aside, I really do think the Joy-Cons are a novel idea, and when they work, they do a really good job. Now, I've seen quite a couple of reviews for the Nintendo Switch, and it seems very interesting that different reviewers prefer different control schemes of the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons. Some prefer them in the grip, some prefer them outside of the grip, and some prefer a Pro controller altogether. Some even prefer it as a handheld. And I think this is amazing because it means that Nintendo thoroughly delivered on the prospect of this being a truly versatile device when it works. And the Pro controller, even though it's comfortable and it offers a wide range of features like the new HD Rumble, I kind of think the traditional approach kind of defeats the off-the-wall and innovative promise that the Nintendo Switch provides. But the fact that the option is there is definitely a welcome addition. It's either that or file for insurance against the Joy-Con strap malfunction. Now, as far as the hardware itself, it's kind of a mixed bag, especially because the only AAA game on it right now wasn't fully optimized to take advantage of the Switch because, it's on the Wii U as well. And barring a few frame rate issues and texture popping, the Nintendo Switch actually runs Zelda Breath of the Wild quite well. And surprisingly, multi-platform games with anime art styles like Dragon Quest look mildly comparable to their PlayStation 4 counterparts, but they definitely do not perform as well. So it will be very interesting to see whether Nintendo can hang in there with the Switch and the future of multi-platform titles going forward, even though it does support Unreal Engine 4. But we'll get more into that later. I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of a big fan of this console at the moment. Playing games on it is so versatile. I really didn't think the portability aspect would actually have me hooked the way it does. Even when I'm working on a beat, I can just put it in tabletop mode and have two Joy-Cons ready to go there by my mixing desk. It is perfect. And even though it's not essential, I can definitely see why some users are upset about not having more entertainment apps like Netflix available on this. The screen is a perfect size. It's portable, yet still big enough for you to make out clear details and actually enjoy your viewing experience. It's the perfect mid-range between an iPad and an iPhone. Now, some people would argue that the Nintendo Switch is supposed to be a dedicated gaming device, and those people are right, and idiots. If that's the case, please explain why this dedicated gaming console has such a lackluster launch lineup of games. Yes, Zelda is an instant classic, but as a gamer, and more importantly, as a consumer, we need more. The PlayStation 4 was also labeled a gaming only machine when it launched, but it still launched with media apps like YouTube and Netflix, so there's almost no excuse, especially with the lack of games. The user interface on the Nintendo Switch overall is very modern and clean. So modern and clean, in fact, that they got rid of all those fun apps that you used to use to demonstrate all those unique and innovative features of your brand new Nintendo console. Literally, great ideas like Street Pass. You know what happened to that? Gone! Hey kids, do you remember Miiverse, the innovative gaming social network? Yeah, you remember that? Gone, son! Usually, omissions like these may not have been such a big deal, especially since the Switch is a new console and, they might have wanted to try something different. But the fact that they want to charge for online now and that they don't have anything there to replace those features, it's not such a good thing. Especially that now that they're charging for online, those features would have been awesome to differentiate the Switch from its main competitors and give it more worth for actually paying your money. Now, that being said, I love the snapshot feature, it's really cool. Now, in 2017, I'm not sure how acceptable 32 gigs of onboard system memory is, especially when 6 gigs is already taken up for the operating system. But due to the new compression techniques Nintendo seem to be using, downloading games doesn't take up as much memory as you'd think. I have quite a few on my memory card and still have about 26 gig left. And huge games like Breath of the Wild only take up 13 gig. But that being said, there are going to be some games which are going to be just huger than the system memory itself. And as I said before, in 2017, I'm not exactly sure that's acceptable. Now, as far as graphical performance is concerned, I know there was a lot of gamers and people who bought the Switch who were initially disappointed when they found out that the Tegra X1 was the heart of their new baby. But I'm not gonna lie, when I found out that the Tegra X1 was at the heart of the Nintendo Switch, I decided to do some snooping, and the results I found were very interesting. Whilst it may not exactly be a powerhouse like the oncoming Xbox Scorpio or PlayStation Pro, it is actually very comparable to what we have on the market now, which is very interesting because we've heard a lot of mainstream media say it's not on the level of the Xbox One and that graphically it's more similar to an upgraded Wii U. Now, as we can see here, Tegra X1 is doing a quite good job of producing visuals that are quite comparable to the PlayStation 4 counterparts. They may not have as much fidelity or perform as well in the frame rate department, but it's still something that's very good, especially for a mobile processor and especially for something that's £100 or $100 cheaper than its competition. Now, we've also heard that the Unreal Engine 4 is doing really good with running on a Tegra X1. And when we think about it further, that the chip that's in the Switch is actually a modified Tegra X1, we could be getting graphics which are looking even better than this, and games which are performing even better than what we're seeing right now. So basically, if we're getting an experience which is comparable to the next gen consoles right now, we shouldn't be worrying too much about power. Well, at least for the foreseeable future. The Nintendo Switch is a very interesting concept with a ton of potential, and the quicker Nintendo deliver on that potential with games, the better position it will be in. To be honest, when we first started getting the hard facts and details back about the console, I wasn't too initially impressed or enthused. But I'm happy to say now that I've got my hands on it, I am kind of a believer and stuff like that. And I am kind of watching to see where it will go from here. There are a lot of things that do need to be changed and addressed. But overall, the issues haven't spoiled my enjoyment of the Nintendo Switch console. Should the Nintendo Switch dock double as an extra power processing unit instead of a murder suspect for the console itself? Yes, of course. Should there be more than 5 physical console games on release? Yes. And should there just be more content and things to do on this console in general? Of course. But does this stop it from being one of the most novel and innovative, and sorry to keep using those words, but it's really true. The whole concept of the Switch kind of does ring through the moment you have a go of Zelda, decide that you want to go to the bathroom or just somewhere else, and you take it with you, and you're taking that same awesome console level experience with you. Now, there are certain games which are not console level experiences, like those indie titles. Yes, indie games are cool, but that's not necessarily what we buy new hardware for. And just because Nintendo have more of a kid-friendly image, we shouldn't cut them on any slack. We didn't give Microsoft or Sony any slack. We wanted those big games. And Nintendo, being the granddaddy of gaming and having more years on both the competition, definitely have no excuse for not at least having a virtual console there on day one to satiate that hungry appetite. But yeah, that being said, definitely a big fan of this console and I can't wait to see where it goes. So yes, people, let me know what you think. Like, share and subscribe. Make sure you share this video with all those Nintendo haters out there. We're just showing love to all the consoles at the moment. The ones that still have exclusives. Anyway, holla at your boy. Peace.